I've been here for 5 years and I've owned 5 businesses in 5 years. And I started giving back to the community. So I started asking myself, what should I do? I started browsing ideas. Then I'm like, podcast. I'll start a podcast. I won't be able to teach the audience because I'm not expert, not qualified to help anyone. But what I can do is ask bold questions to qualified people. And I'm going to ask, how did you make your first million? Because this is credibility. The purpose of this podcast was from the beginning is giving value and giving back. Because I felt like I owe this community. What is the best training trick to maintain a motivated and effective team to help you get your first million? This question is from Mo. I actually know Mo. He's from Ottawa. He's a student and he has a sales team. They do door knocking. I think they do window cleaning, stuff like this. And I think he's trying to keep the motivation level high.
I think probably the number one thing is to enroll people in a common goal. And when you do that and you give people really a set of objectives, but you really make it a team effort, I think that's one of the main things. We often train people as interns. And now when I say interns, I'm not talking a third-year university student. I'm talking about someone who maybe is already a professional in the workforce that wants to learn a higher level of business. And so they will often come into our business and contribute to the business, learn themselves. It's really about getting energized by that personal growth process. I personally find my own professional development hugely energizing and aim to attract people that have a similar mindset. Some people just want to say, all right, give me my paycheck. I can't wait to get home and watch American Idol. Okay, fine. They're probably not for us. And there are folks out there like that, asking any judgment. But folks that really want to grow, that I give people things to learn. I give them homework. Not because the business needs it, but for their own personal growth. I give them homework, things that are going to expand their mind, inspire them, give them a different perspective on the world. And I find that energizing. And then we'll get together and talk about it and say, well, what did you get from this? And we'll look at things not just in terms of the content, but also the process. So when this speaker said this, what was it about how they said it? What was the process of how they communicated it that made it more impactful, not just the content? So it's really looking at things from all these different perspectives so that when you consume anything, when you take anything in, you internalize it at a different level.
I like that. I tried it. Go read this book and let's talk about it. Yeah. My coaches does the same to me. They're always giving me some homework. They always want to talk. I can see how that works. All right. Next question, back to cheesy. How to deal with taxes. The name is Chaka.
How to deal with taxes.
Yes. If I'm not pronouncing your name right, I don't care. Please tell me.
Just put some process in place.
So they're trying to avoid, how do you pay less taxes maybe?
Well, so here's an interesting philosophical question. Do you want to pay less tax or more tax?
I think everyone would answer, I want to pay less tax.
If you're paying a bucket load of tax, what does it mean?
I'm making a load of money.
Exactly. So I'll ask the question again.
Do you? Okay, I'll pay so much tax because I want to make more money. I get it.
Right. So then the question is, what in the context of facing potentially a huge tax bill, how do you minimize your tax? But because just minimizing your tax is the goal. Well, just sit at home. You won't make any money. You won't pay any tax. That's easy.
Yeah. Still, though, there's some people out there that they're working really hard.
Right. So if you want to change, Tom Wheelwright, very well-known accountant, says if you want to change your tax, change your facts. Okay. What that means is that it's not about how much money you make, it's how you make it. Because the tax code simply is extracting money from the population is a very simple, it can be written in a few pages. You calculate this percentage, you pay this much, see you later. And for the rank and file employee, that's the process. But the tax code is thousands and tens of thousands of pages. Well, what are all those exception cases? Those are incentives that the government's put in place. They're telling you what they want you to go do. So for example, in the United States, if I want to get a 30% investment tax credit for solar panels, I can go do that. If I want to get a 50% grant on top of that, I go to the USDA program and do it in these specific geographic locations, and I'll get 30% plus 50% paid for by the government, and so on. But you got to have folks that really understand the code that will show you how to do that.
So hire a good accountant.
It's more than hiring good accountants. When people talk about hiring an accountant, they're thinking that first and foremost about the compliance piece, getting your tax return filled out. I'm talking about the strategy. Anyone can do the compliance, but there's very few that can do the strategy.
Agreed. I've been in this country for 5 years and I changed for accountant.
Absolutely.
Because everyone wants to do the filing for, discuss a good strategy. Next question. This is also a couple good questions from a real estate investor. Of all of your wealth, what percentage is liquid? You are a millionaire. You can do anything. What's on your bucket list? This question is from Denusia.
So there's different types of wealth. There's paper wealth and there's cash. And as a business owner, we always face the question of if a business is generating money, how much to distribute and how much to reinvest in the business. And so you can be rich on paper, but cash poor. And I know many real estate investors that have gone through different cycles where they may have a big exit on a particular property and they're cash rich for a while until they reinvest. And then at a certain point, maybe the economy turns and then all of a sudden they're cash poor, but still rich on paper. I know a lot of folks today that are rich on paper, but cash poor because they've faced capital calls. They've had various things happen because of the shifts in the economy. So it's very easy to say, okay, this person has whatever, 2,000 units in their portfolio. They must be rich. And you fill in the blank with your own idea. May not be true. Because they may be required, let's say, as a covenant with their lender to maintain a certain amount of liquidity. Yeah, they have to have $2 million in cash in the bank just in order to meet their loan covenants. Doesn't mean they can go spend that money. That's in their bank account, but they can't necessarily go spend it.
But is there like a formula you follow, like percentage of money you cannot touch? This money I cannot invest. I cannot do anything with it.
I wish personally
safety net.
Yeah, that all works until things go wrong. So right now, for me personally, right now at this moment, I'm cash poor because I've had to write checks to various projects. I was sitting on a lot of cash before it. Today I'm not. That's just the nature of the real estate cycle and of the business cycle. Will that change? I'm confident it will, but right now at this moment, I'm personally cash poor. People say, well, Victor, you live in this house and you've got whatever, you must be rich. Well, okay, maybe on paper I am, but that's not necessarily, that doesn't mean that I can go out and spend $100,000 on a vacation just anytime I want to, because I can't.
Got it.
Right?
So you can't spend $100,000 on a vacation, you're cash poor. The second question was, you are a millionaire, you can do anything. What's on your bucket list? You've traveled so much, didn't you?
I've traveled very extensively.
How many countries have you ever counted them?
There's a few that I have not visited.
These are the ones that you're counting. The rest, it's hard to count, huh?
There's parts of Africa I have not traveled through. I have not been to Australia and New Zealand yet. That's on my list for sure. The Horn of South America, for sure. Want to go through the Straits of Magellan for sure. That's on the list. I've traveled throughout all of Europe, big parts of South America, a lot in Asia. So yeah, I've traveled extensively.
Wow. And was it just for work or leisure as well?
Both. It was something that was instilled in me very early as a child. In fact, my parents traveled extensively and they even took me out of school when I was in grade school, and we would travel for months.
That's very smart.
It was a way better school than sitting in the classroom in fifth grade.
It's amazing. So Australia and New Zealand.
Australia and New Zealand are definitely on the list. Thailand is on the list. I haven't spent enough time in Thailand. Where else do I really want to? I want to spend more time in Chile for sure.
Yeah? You've been though?
Yeah.
Why Chile?
I really want to explore the mountainous region of Chile. I haven't been to Peru. I haven't been to Machu Picchu. That's on the list.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to Australia this September though.
Okay. That's before it gets real hot.
Yeah, I think it's winter there.
It's the end of winter.
End of winter.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I have a wedding there. We have like 40 cousins.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Australia will be the 8th destination 2020.
Okay.
8 countries this year.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Next question. This is from our friend on Facebook, Alec. Why isn't enough? I'll ask a question my way. Why it's not enough? Why you're still working? What is enough? When would you say enough money, enough working, enough wealth? Let's just travel and have fun and live in La La Land.
I will answer the question by challenging the premise of the question. The assumption in the question is that the goal is money. And if that's not the goal, then what are you measuring? If the goal is to make an impact, it's never enough.
Infinity.
Exactly, right? So if I think about our business, if I think about our company's mission, it's to build communities that people feel compelled to call home. So when is that mission ever enough?
Never.
Right. So, and that's the difference between a mission and a goal. Some people talk about attainment goals. Okay, when I have fill in the blank number, I have enough. But that's constantly chasing the end of a rainbow. And what if that's actually not even the right goal? A mission is different than a goal. And so when you have a mission, there is no enough necessarily. Does that make sense?
It does, of course. So no retiring.
One of the dictionary definitions of retirement is to retire from useful service. Against that definition, I don't ever want to retire. You retire a piece of equipment.
I like that. You always have a loaded answer. All right. This question is from me. What is an advice you would give the audience to have a successful?
Well, success is secular. So the definition of success for me or for you, well, no, this is...
Guys, go get some shrooms and come back and watch this show so we can analyze the answers.
No, seriously, success is a secular thing because my definition is going to be different from yours. So then the question, so maybe one definition of that is, well, did you actually achieve what your goal was? That might be one definition of success. But, for one person, it might be a monetary, for Mother Teresa, her definition of success was very different than, say, Mr. Trump. They're completely different. And yet they both could be very successful or not. So I don't know if it's even the right question.
How would you ask this question?
What I would say is, what is more meaningful? Is it success or is it significance? I would rather be significant than successful.
What's the difference?
I think the difference is impact.
Making an impact is one of your goals, and you succeed at making impact, then
Sure.
successful.
Sure.
I think the definition for success now for our audience, for most people, is a combination of, having a family. Some people don't want kids.
Sure.
Family.
Yep.
Love them. They love you. You're spending enough time with them. And at the same time, you're able to provide enough for them, for yourself, for the people that you love, and you can help other people as well. This is a good life. Takes some work to get there. So how would you call that? Significance or success?
You can be significant to your immediate family. And if that's where you draw your sphere of influence, awesome. So I think it's important to, success is important, but it's also, what's more important is to get clear on your definition.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of people don't actually create their own definition of success. They appropriate or adopt someone else's definition. And I think that can be a trap, because if you don't really own that definition of success, it's like climbing the ladder up with the wrong wall. You've heard that analogy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're putting the ladder so that it's taking you to the right place.
So list down what you want.
Yep.
What do you want to get? Then make a...
Well, even question I don't know if even what you want to get is the right thing. What do you want to contribute, right? We often, people often think about things they want to get. And so then they back up from that and say, well, what do I need to do to get what I want to get? And then they get frustrated because they never get there. Well, in fact, it starts the opposite direction. Who do I need to be first? Then what does someone who is that person do? And then the having happens as a consequence. You never start with the having. The having comes at the end. You start with being.
Being, then you'll become.
Be, do, have. Yeah.
Be, do, have.
Yeah.
We said something in the beginning. We said we'll go back to it. The should have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you said you want to get back to it.
Sure. So should is one of these words that's loaded where it is encumbered with some values judgment that is being imposed upon this particular commitment. And as soon as you should, it takes away choice. Because at the end of the day, we all have choice. I can choose, you can choose, we can all choose. Whatever consequence happens, it's a result of those choices. And then when you should do something, it's taking away that choice. And you can say to yourself, I can say to myself, I would like to have this report done for Monday. as opposed to saying, I should have it done for Monday.
Which one would you use?
I would make the choice as opposed to I should. Now, if I've already made the commitment to have it done for Monday, well, then maybe I should get it done, or can fill in the second half of the sentence.
So if you want to communicate something to your employee, this should be done by Monday, or I would like it.
We've committed to have this done by Monday. What do we need to do to make this happen?
I love that. Do you have any questions? I've had a long day, Victor.
Yeah.
Take it easy on me.
We're here in your studio, and the studio exists. It was, I think, a little bit of a field of dreams in the sense that if I build it, somehow I will get a successful business out of the back end of this, even if you couldn't see the clear path to that right from the beginning. What have you learned in that process over the last however many months you've been running this process, and what kind of adjustments have you made, do you still want to make as you go through this process?
That is a big question.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. So I was at a state in my career where I was proud of what I've achieved. I'm like, you know what? I want to start giving back to them. So I started asking myself, what should I do? Host classes and bring coaches and do everything pro bono. I'm like, okay, this I'll be able to help 10 people. Start browsing ideas. Then I'm like, podcast. I'll start a podcast. I won't be able to teach the audience because I'm not expert enough. I'm still learning. I'm not qualified to help anyone. But what I can do is ask bold questions to qualified people. And I'm going to ask, how did you make your first million? Because this is credibility. I'm not bringing any spam or scam to the podcast, and I wanted to show this to the audience.
Right.
So the purpose of this podcast was, from the beginning, is giving value and giving back, because I felt like this community, I owe this community. I've been here for 5 years, and I've owned 5 businesses in 5 years. Without this amazing community, I wouldn't have gone here, not even close.
Right.
So this is to show appreciation, and the amount of young people, they reach out to me on social media and they ask for advice, and they're really at some low point in their life. And I know so many other people wouldn't have answered. Makes me feel responsible of filming these podcasts and put the effort. Now, does this podcast brings business and marketing and credibility? Absolutely.
Sure.
Is this the goal? Absolutely not.
Right.
I don't give a damn about a dime I can make from this business. When I get a message from an audience that, hey, I actually watched this podcast and I learned this lesson, it makes me very happy.
Love it.
What have I changed? When I first wanted to start this podcast, I called experts.
Right.
How can I make it perfect? What can I do? I looked at the bills. I'm like, this is going to cost me $70,000. And I'm not sure if that's the right plan. Then I asked 5 other people. There's a person who gave it to me, like described everything to me, how it could be done in a very simple way. And it made so much sense to me. I'm like, you know what? Let's start with this. I was already in the middle of the complicated process. Painting, doing construction, everything, whatever. Painting the walls greens. This is one of the mistakes that I did. And we had to redo the paint like 5 times. It's still not perfect. So now we have those. It's even 10 times better solution that costs $50. I learned something that simple can be better than complicated. Complicated sounds fancy, but that doesn't mean it's right. So I actually applied this lesson on many other things I'm doing in my life, and it's working. The whole podcast series cost me now $20,000. I also wanted to start, I offered this space to people who want to start their own podcast. So I had a couple packages, and I also learned that this is a mistake. So now I have only one package. And I refuse to be flexible with it.
Interesting.
Yes, we have one and only package. And this package is designed for one type of a client. And this is the type of client that I want to deal with. And I want my team to communicate with. Because your clients says who your team are. Because your team could be perfect. But if all of your clients are like the wrong clients, your team will change.
Yeah.
If your clients are amazing, educated, they know how to speak, they're polite, and they're communicating with you and with your team will get better because they will learn from them. So these are a couple lessons that I learned.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to this podcast. Honestly, I had to chase this guy. I have a track of the conversation. I'm sure he didn't want to come today. He just felt like, JC's been chasing me. Let's just shut him up and come to the podcast. I'm still very grateful for you to come here. I'm sure myself, I learned so much from you, and the audience did as well.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.